1986, Clive Barker wrote the novella The Hellbound Heart and introduced us all to the world of Cenobites, a species of extradimensional creatures who don't understand the difference between pleasure and pain. In his directorial debut, Barker adapted the book into a movie called Hellraiser in 1987. The popularity of the film inspired a franchise with 11 sadistic films. Today, we're going to explore 10 of the most sadistically attractive characters in the franchise. But before we continue, please subscribe to Marvelous Videos, as it would mean a lot to us to have another horror supporter. Abigor. Some say she was Cleopatra of Egypt, whose beauty and brilliance was known worldwide, while others say she was Helen of Troy, whose beauty launched a war that brought about the death of thousands. But who she was in life doesn't matter anymore, as she's now Abigor, Leviathan's favorite Cenobite. When or how the dark god set his eyes on her is unknown, but Abigor is a loyal servant of his and will carry out any of his desires. She's a master manipulator and seductress who enslaves men with her charms. Her mouth stretches all the way across her face, and she has nails sharp enough to be used as weapons. There are some narrow spikes inserted into her skull on her forehead. Like all Cenobites, she's virtually immortal, and her weapon of choice is a long whip with hooks on the end. Her earliest mission was in 1991, when she had to leave the company of the Blemmeyes to help Flagellum prevent Hell from descending to chaos. She, along with Atkins, Balberith, Pinhead, and Face, created the Vasa Inquitatus to ensure order in Hell. After her mission was completed, Leviathan was pleased with her. Not much is actually known about her life before becoming a Cenobite, except that she was the sister of the female Cenobite. She's often seen dressed in a leather suit. Angelique. Duke de Lille, a rich magician and occultist, commissioned the lament configuration from Philippe le Marchand. When he completed it, Duke de Lille performed a ritual by sacrificing a young woman to connect Hell and Earth through a gateway. Using the lament configuration, he summoned the daughter of Leviathan and demon princess of Hell, Angelique. Angelique colluded with Jacques, de Lille's assistant, and killed de Lille. 200 years later, she killed Jacques as well when he forbade her from investigating the Le Marchand heir, John Marchand, who had reinvented the lament configuration and opened a larger gateway to Hell. This gateway welcomed Pinhead, who reconnected with Angelique, and together they tried to manipulate John into creating a permanent gateway. John was defiant, and no amount of threats or torture worked. Finally, Pinhead killed John and John's wife and sent them all back to Hell. Pinhead was furious about the failure to manipulate John, so he forcefully turned Angelique into a Cenobite. Before she was a Cenobite, Angelique was a very attractive young woman. As a Cenobite, she appears to be bald, with her scalp peeled down and clamped to her shoulders. She doesn't wear the traditional Cenobite robes, instead opting for a tight leather dress. Valentina Vargas brought Angelique alive in the films. Aishma Deava. Another Cenobite with a mysterious past, Aishma Deava is a short, dwarfish Cenobite whose mouth has long slits, just like Abigor. She has long golden hair that nearly covers her entire body. Her name, Aishma, is derived from the Zoroastrian demon of wrath. The first we hear of her is when she joins Alistair's Gash, a group of Cenobites, along with her sister, Yama Vidadu. This rogue group of Cenobites wanted to completely wipe out the Nightbreed, an ancient species known for favoring chaos over order. The Nightbreed, also called the Spawns of Chaos, opposed Leviathan, but even then the Dark Lord forbade his servants from taking them out, as he knew that slaughtering their race would only bring about more chaos. Alistair, however, had had enough of the Nightbreed and led his Gash, which also included Charon, Gehenna, Zappan, and Chalkis, against the wishes of Leviathan. Leviathan sent Pinhead and Chatterer to stop Alistair's Gash from doing too much damage, and the two successfully stopped Alistair. Aishma Deava was punished for her part in the rebellion and was stabbed in the back to death. The Wire Twins. Often called the Sisters of Leviathan, the Wire Twins were human twin sisters who stumbled into the labyrinth and were turned into Cenobites. As their names suggest, wires play a major role in their appearance. Their stomachs are held open by wires, which are shown through their revealing Cenobite attire. These bald sisters have wires coming out of their skull. You can see wire coming out of their forehead and joining the head wires. Their eyes are also held open by, you guessed it, more wires. Their tongues are like the tongues of snakes and are long and black. They most likely use them to torture their victims. Their chins are connected to their bra by wires, and both of them have a symbol carved into the side of their heads. One of them has a sickle surrounded by 3 dots, one in the center and 2 behind the handle, while the other twin has a larger sickle with a line going through it instead of dots. Strangely, they don't seem to have a nose. Among all the Cenobites, the wire twins are the most libidinous. While it is true that all Cenobites can't differentiate between pain and pleasure, the twins seem to have a proclivity and desire for the sensual, intimate pleasures of the flesh. They were played by Lynn Spear and Patricia Cara in the movie. Dreamer! Terry was a homeless girl who was in an on-again, off-again relationship with JP. Her only community was JP's bar, the Boiler Room, which she frequented because of him. One day, JP found the Pillar of Souls, Pinhead's prison, which drove Terry insane as she couldn't dream. JP, under the influence of Pinhead, became obsessed with the Pillar of Souls and decided to sacrifice Terry to resurrect Pinhead. He invited her to his apartment, and Terry, unaware of the danger that awaited her, went. However, as soon as JP attacked her, she outmaneuvered him and knocked him out. Pinhead used this time to talk to Dreamer and promised her the ability to dream if she used JP's soul to free him. Tempted and betrayed by JP, she agreed. Pinhead, after resurrection, turned her into the Cenobite called Dreamer. In this form, her skin was stretched using hooks and her throat was slashed open, through which she constantly smokes a cigarette. Like most Cenobites, she's bald and wears a leather garb similar to Pinhead's. In this form, she could finally dream and helped Pinhead torture Joey, a journalist who was investigating the Lament configuration and had befriended her before. Though we don't know how she went from being a pseudo-Cenobite to a true Cenobite, we can wager a guess that Leviathan was probably responsible. She's played by Paula Marshall in the movies. The Gasp! The Gasp is a relatively new Cenobite to the franchise, and fans theorize that she's a combination of Deep Throat and Angelique. She's one of the many human beings who solved the configuration box and were forcefully converted into Cenobites. In the Labyrinth, she rose among the ranks to become the right-hand woman of Pinhead, the priest and leader of the Labyrinth. The Gasp has most of her skin pulled back. In her loyalty to Pinhead, she relentlessly looks for potential victims to be tortured. Vile and sadistic, she loves to torment the living and also loves to be in pain. She's not shy about it either, as she's often expressive of her love for pain. The Gasp was one of the Cenobites who appeared when Riley McKendry solved the Lament configuration. When Serena, a lawyer, accidentally opened the box, the Gasp appeared once more. Serena begged for mercy, but the Gasp taunted her by shoving a needle down her throat and asking her to save her voice to scream. As a Cenobite, the Gasp can't age, feel pain, or decay. She can teleport to the various gateways on Earth from Hell and can create thin barbed wires from thin air to bend, torture, or mutilate her victims. Selena Lowe played the Gasp in the Hellraiser films. Female Cenobite! Sister Nicoletta had a very religious upbringing, which is perhaps why she had chosen to be a nun. Despite that, she was interested in sin. This interest soon grew to be an obsession, and soon her mind was overcome with thoughts of sin. One day, a man looking for a place to stay decided to spend time in Sister Nicoletta's church. After having a conversation with her and realizing her desire to sin, he gave her the Lament configuration. Once she opened the box, the Cenobite Grillard sexually abused her and then took her to Hell, where she was converted into a Cenobite. Her hair was shaved off and holes were bored into her torso. A pin was shoved through her nose and she had wires going through her throat, giving her a raspy voice. It has been mentioned that her true name is so terrible that even the Cenobites are afraid to utter it. Some other names that she's been referred to are Fallen, Open, and Deep Throat. From the very beginning, she began serving Pinhead and remained his loyal follower. She often appears by his side when the Lament configuration is opened. She was portrayed by Grace Kirby in her film debut and later by Barbie Wilde. Little Sister! As a human, Little Sister used to be a spoiled brat who got everything she wanted. She was beautiful and smart too, but somehow remained unsatisfied with life. Her search for meaning led her to the Lament configuration. Once she opened it, her frantic search was finished and her void was filled. As a Cenobite, she was quite popular and even Leviathan liked her. She was involved with other Cenobites to hunt down Amy Klein. Little Sister has a creepy doll-like appearance. She has 10 wires going through her face, 5 on the right and the rest on the left. They ran down from her skull and cut through the flesh on the top of her eyelids. They come out just a few inches below her eyes. As the wires probably go through her eyeballs, she has no sight. These wires are then attached to 2 metal bars resting on her cheek. She has no nose or ears and, like most Cenobites, is bald. Her head has some crescent-shaped carvings as well. She was portrayed by Laura Parashiv in the movies. Female Cenobite 2. Known as the Fourth Chatterer, or the female Cenobite 2, she's a Cenobite who belongs to Pinhead's gash. She helped Pinhead and his apprentice Pseudo-Pinhead to nab Nico Bradley. Bradley had escaped hell exactly how Frank Cotton had in the past. Last we saw her, she was helping her fellow Cenobites take Sarah Craven to hell. Leviathan really liked the Chatterer, which is probably why he made so many versions of him. Female Cenobite 2's hair is wires coming out of her head. Her mouth has been pulled into a rough rectangle by wires which constantly expose her gums and teeth. She has no visible nose and her eyes seem to be slashed away. She was played by Jolene Anderson in the movies. Stitch! Another loyal servant of Pinhead, Stitch was among the Cenobites who came for Kirsty Cotton, a woman who opened the lament configuration for the second time. But Kirsty played it clever and promised 5 souls in exchange for hers. Pinhead accepted this deal and Stitch reaped all the souls Kirsty brought to the Cenobites. They were her husband, Trevor Gooden, who had given the box as a present to her in order to steal her inheritance, his co-conspirator and best friend Brett, and the 3 women Trevor had cheated on Kirsty with. Stitch had a lot of fun toying with Trevor's soul, which was trapped in limbo in hell. She first fooled him into thinking she was one of his mistresses and only revealed her true form when he kissed her. She shoved a metal mask with a large screw in it through his head. The next soul she came for was that of Amy, a reporter. She was probably rewarded for her loyalty by this time, as her facial deformities had lessened. Stitch has pale white skin that's been burned, lifted off her skull, and stapled, stretching it into the shape of an X across her face. Her ears, eyes, and mouth have been sewn shut, but she can find her way despite being blind and deaf, like many other blind and deaf Cenobites. Stitch was portrayed by Sarah Hayward in the movies. Marvelous verdict! It's hard to believe that these sadistic, cruel creatures once used to be beautiful and normal humans. Did we miss any Cenobites you find weirdly attractive? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please let us know by hitting that thumbs up button, and we'll be back soon with more awesome videos. But until then, stay away from puzzle boxes. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.